No one noticed the boys at first. People walked past them every day, their eyes trained on glowing phone screens or the tall buildings that promised success and comfort. But the two boys stood there beside a rusty street food cart, their clothes worn thin, their faces marked by hunger far older than their years. They didn't beg, they didn't cry, they just waited, and sometimes, waiting hurts more than hunger itself. Across the street, a man in a dark blue suit slowed his steps. He was not like the others. He had money, power, respect. The kind of man whose name opened doors without knocking. Yet something invisible pulled him to stop. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the way the younger boy clutched the older one's hand as if the world might steal him away. Or maybe it was the silence, heavy, accusing silence, that wrapped itself around the scene. The man turned his back to the crowd and faced the cart. Behind it stood a woman with tired eyes and trembling hands, pretending to be strong. She smiled at customers, but it never reached her eyes. The boys were her children. In this street, this was their entire world. What the man didn't know was this: that moment would tear his life apart, and rebuild it in a way he never imagined. The woman's name was Sarah. Once, she had dreamed of a small home, warm dinners, laughter. But dreams are fragile things. Her husband had died in an accident at a construction site owned by a powerful company. They called it an unfortunate incident. Compensation never came, the case disappeared, and with it, her future. She sold her jewelry first, then her furniture, then her dignity. Now she sold cheap food on a crowded sidewalk, fighting every day to keep her children alive. Some days they ate, some days they didn't, and some days, like today, she pretended not to notice the hunger in their eyes. The man in the suit, Daniel, watched quietly. Daniel Cross was a billionaire, owner of multiple companies, feared in boardrooms, respected on magazine covers. He had built his empire on discipline and control. Emotions, he believed, were weaknesses. Yet here he was, unable to move. A luxury car honked behind him. His driver called out. Daniel raised a hand without looking back. Then it happened. A black SUV pulled up suddenly. Two men stepped out, dressed sharply, their confidence aggressive. One of them kicked the cart. "Didn't we tell you to leave?" he snapped. Sarah froze. I just need one more day," she whispered. "Please." The younger boy stepped forward instinctively, shielding his mother with his small body. The man laughed. "Brave, huh?" He grabbed the cart handle and shoved it again. Food spilled onto the ground. Daniel's jaw tightened. The men were from the same construction company. The same company where Sarah's husband had died. The same company Daniel secretly owned. And Sarah didn't know who he was. Daniel stepped forward. "Is there a problem?" he asked calmly. The men turned, annoyed, then confused. They recognized the suit, the posture, the power. "No problem, sir," one of them said quickly. "Just clearing illegal vendors." Daniel looked at the spilled food. Then at the boys. "How much do you charge them?" he asked. The men hesitated. "Protection fees," one replied. "Company policy." Daniel smiled. A cold, dangerous smile. "I see." He turned to Sarah. "Do you have a permit?" She shook her head. "I tried. They never let me." Daniel nodded slowly. Then he turned back to the men. "Leave." They laughed nervously. "Sir, you don't understand. I said leave." Something in his voice made them obey. The SUV drove off. The street returned to its noise. But Sarah stood frozen, tears sliding silently down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. Daniel didn't reply. He stared at the older boy. "How old are you?" he asked. 10, the boy said. His voice didn't shake. Daniel reached into his pocket, placed a folded bill on the cart, then turned away. He told himself it was charity. He lied. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The boys' faces haunted him. He called his assistant at midnight. "Find everything about that construction accident from 6 years ago," he said. Every detail. By morning, the truth lay bare. Safety violations covered up, reports altered, witnesses silenced, and Daniel's signature, right there at the bottom of the final approval. For the first time in decades, Daniel Cross felt something close to shame. Days later, Sarah was arrested. Not for selling food, but for obstructing public space. The boys watched as their mother was dragged away, screaming their names. Daniel saw the video online. Something inside him broke. He arrived at the police station unannounced. "She's coming with me," he said. The officers froze. Within an hour, charges vanished. Sarah didn't understand. Why are you doing this? She asked him outside, her voice shaking. Daniel looked at her. Because I owe you a debt. What Sarah didn't know was that Daniel had already started a quiet war. He audited the construction company, fired executives, reopened the accident case, paid witnesses to speak, not with money, but with protection. The truth exploded across headlines. A billionaire exposes his own company. Stocks fell. Partners panicked. Daniel didn't care. He stood in court as evidence was read, as names were called, as guilt was finally spoken aloud. And then, in a moment no one expected, Daniel stood and said, I am responsible. The courtroom gasped. I signed the approval. I looked away, and because of that, a man died. He turned to Sarah. I can't bring him back, he said softly. But I can give his death meaning. Months later, Sarah stood in a small cafe, not on a sidewalk. The sign above read, Hope Kitchen. Daniel had funded it, but Sarah owned it. The boys went to school now. They laughed. They dreamed. On opening day, Daniel came quietly, standing at the back. The younger boy ran up to him. Mister, he said, smiling, are you hungry? Daniel knelt. Yes, he said, very. The boy handed him food. Daniel took it with trembling hands. For the first time in his life, wealth felt small. Justice, he realized, wasn't about power. It was about choosing to see. And once you truly see, you can never look away again.